So earlier this week, MimiGhoul debuted in Infinite Forbidden, and they might be the first set of good flip effect monsters. A while ago we got Shadal, monsters that technically have flip effects, but have incredibly better card effects when they are sent to the graveyard, which can be used off of its own fusion spell. Then we got Crawler, a flip archetype that focuses on using the flip effects as forms of interruption to then swarm with the field with link monsters on your turn. Besides that, there were not many good flip archetype effects, and that's because flip monsters are too slow. Now, what makes MimiGhoul so special? Let's start with the cards. To start, we have MimiGhoul Master. This card cannot be destroyed while your opponent controls any face-down monsters. This doesn't seem like much, however, once again to the actual MimiGhoul flip effect monsters, this would make more sense. Then this is a searcher for any MimiGhoul monster you want. There are 3 targets that we would want. And quick effect, it can flip a monster on your opponent's field face up. Now onto the actual flip monsters. MimiGhoul Dragon, Cerberus, and Archfiend. All of these do several things while they flipped, but 3 of them but they all share two common features. They can special summon to your opponent's field in face down defense position, and one flipped will switch to your field. I really did a bad job of explaining what these cards do, but this is a bit more clarification. So, how they work is they have a sequence of events. So the flip effect will happen to your opponent, and then it'll end with you gaining control. Hopefully this clarifies things. Now for what they do individually. First up is Dragon. On flip effect, it destroys all face-up monsters apart from MimiGhoul monsters, and if you normal summon this card, you can add any MimiGhoul spell trap from your deck. Next up is MimiGhoul Cerberus. If this card is flipped, your opponent banishes the top 3 cards of your deck, and then one of those monsters is special summoned to your field in defense position. Then, if it's face up on the field, your opponent cannot target face up spell cards you control with card effects. Lastly, we have MimiGhoul Archfiend. This one on flip does 2 things. First, you get to draw 1 card, and your opponent sends 1 card from hand to grave. Does not discard, it sends. So the general idea with these cards is that you give them to your opponent, and then they trigger the debuffs, or you trigger them with cards you control. So with Dragon, you trigger that to destroy all their monsters. Cerberus, you trigger that to banish cards off of their deck, and for you to get one of their monsters. And Archfiend, you do that so your opponent loses 1 card in hand, and you gain a card. Now on to the MimiGhoul spell traps. First up, we have the field spell MimiGhoul Dungeon. MimiGhoul monsters that are not normal or special summoned gain attack equal to their original defense. Any player who controls a face-down monster cannot normal summon or declare an attack with special summon monsters. And during your main phase, add a MimiGhoul monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. The next spell card is MimiGhoul Maker. You reveal 2 flip monsters with different names from your deck, and your opponent randomly picks one, and that gets special summoned to their field. The other goes to your hand. Then you special summon 1 MimiGhoul from your hand to your field. And then during your opponent's turn, you can banish this card, then flip 1 face down monster to face up. Lastly, we have the trap MimiGhoul Room. Special summon a MimiGhoul from your hand or deck to your field, or face down defense position to your opponent's field, then change a monster on the field to face down defense position. Then banish this card, then target any number of MimiGhouls you control, return them to the hand. Okay, so here's the ideal combo I found with this deck. In current play testing, this is a 2 card, however, it's still pretty solid. Go Dungeon, search out Master, normal Master, grab Dragon, go for Dragon, grabbing Archfiend and Cerberus, One of those goes to our opponent's field, other gets to hand. This is kind of grave. And then I get to special dragon. Dragon lets me grab the trap. Special the other one to the opponent's field face down. And that is the ideal end board. This ends on the Floodgate Field spell, the trap, which gets you another monster, the special summon flip on banish, and then just a quick effect flip. So just gonna need a spare deck to represent kind of what's going on here. So I'll do the other half of this deck I'm using, which is Kashtira. So during our opponent's turn, we can go Master to flip up Cerberus. Cerberus banishes the top 3 of our opponent's deck and special summons a monster. So we'll grab a Rise Heart, it does it in defense. Then Cerberus switches control. Then if let's say they somehow special out something like a Fenrir, you can banish the trap, flip up Archfiend. Archfiend will make them lose a card and give you the ability to draw a card. And then come see your field. Then lastly, you have the trap, which sets dragon to their field. And then that keeps the Floodgate alive, and whenever they flip dragon, that just destroys the Fenrir. Overall, this deck is really solid. Ideally, if you make it back to next turn, you should have enough material on field to just OTK. And if not, banish the trap from grave to bounce 3 from field and special summon them. And if you want to, you can use the trap. You'd have to destroy your dragon. Well, if dragon gets destroyed, the one they give to your opponent, add it back with Dungeons effect, and go for another trap. But yeah, ideally you can. This is just a recurring resource loop, as long as you can banish a trap each turn. As I was saying, I think the deck is good. I think it has promise. The one thing it does lack is actually no, not good, just any spell trap removal at all. So, and it's also a bit weak to hand traps. Like, I know people are going to be watching that game and seeing so many places to Ash or Droll. To which, yeah, you're right though. That is a weak point of the deck. But, you can kind of say that about most decks. But like, what this deck needs is just like a good spell trap removal flip effect, and probably another way to get MimiGhoul back from the grave, because the only one at the moment is the field spell. But yeah, that's just what this deck can do. Overall, MimiGhoul, I think, is a very promising flip deck. I think all they really need is just some form of spell trap removal and just another way to recur from grave, and that's pretty much it. What do you think? Do you think this flip archetype is playable, or it's as playable as Tindangle? If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Catch you all in the next video.